best coach ever? Jesus. Would you? One of the critical roles about a coach is to prepare his or her team for what's to come. And one of the ways a coach does that is take note of strengths and areas in need of improvement, right? A good coach would look at the individual players and collectively the team and say, what am I noticing? What needs some encouragement? What strengths do I want to build on? What are some areas that need some shoring up? A good coach will work to prepare his or her team so that that team is prepared for game time. That team is ready for when it's time to play ball. That's what a good coach does, and I think that's one of the best attributes of God. He's a good coach. He looks at his team individually and collectively. And I like to think of that even with Oasis Church. And he says, man, I see that in him and I see that in her. And I want to grow that. I want to help. I want to maybe bring some correction to that. I want to teach them a new way of living. I want to help them out. I want to increase their areas of strength so that they might be prepared. I love that about our good coach. So in this series, I want us to consider how God is preparing us, how he has prepared us, and how he's preparing us now and for the future. Each week, we're going to look at different people in the story of God's coming to the earth as a baby. We're going to look at Zechariah and Elizabeth and baby John. It's a story that really kind of often gets looked over, and that's what we're going to get after next week. And then Mary and Joseph and the people that were surrounding them as this crazy thing was happening where God was coming to earth in human form, in human flesh, and was doing some incredible things as a coach in preparing and being very, very present. So how is it that we're going to prepare in this season as we wait and anticipate Christmas Eve this year? I want us to get practical for a second. And I want to challenge you. I think this might be a challenge from God for us. I want to invite you to prepare in a way that's maybe more deliberate, more intentional than we've done before. And honestly, I think that God has been possibly preparing us for that opportunity in the midst of such a strange season in our world. And that's to do something counterintuitive to everything else that we've been maybe taught or trained to do when it comes to Christmas. And I love that long list. And there are many, many things to do that Christine was inviting you all to contribute to. The list is long of things to be done to prepare. But I want to encourage you to work really hard at one more additional way of preparing. And that's kind of like Jesus. He flips things upside down often. This is going to be a challenge that might even be harder than actually doing something. My encouragement to you is to do less. To do something that we might not be very familiar with, which is rest. We tend to rest when we're exhausted. I want to invite you to rest in preparation for what's to come. I want to invite you to think about saying time out. If this is a basketball game, sometimes the coach needs to call a timeout, right? And say, hey, team, come on. He gathers or she gathers them around and gives some encouragement. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be gathering around God's word this season. And we're going to listen. What is it, coach? What do you got for us? What do we need to hear? And we're going to listen for how a good coach, by the way, is good at utilizing time well, right? I mean, how many seconds in a timeout? I've got a number of basketball players here in the skeleton crew. How many? 30 or 60 seconds. Now that time is especially important, right? When that last timeout right before the last few seconds of the game. And we're down 1 point, right? And it's like, okay, what are we going to do, team? Here we go. A timeout is called. The coach gathers us around and he might look at his playbook or he might have it just so right up in here that he says, this is it. You ready? You guys got this. Let's do this. We're in it together. I'm standing right here with you. I am cheering you on, and come loss or come win, which by the way, we know who the victory belongs to ultimately. We are in this together. And that's a good coach. And I think he's calling a timeout for us, maybe even as a culture, as a nation, as a country, as a world, but down to individual families and family members to say, time out. I want you to rest in preparation for what is to come.